So in this trading education video, I show traders, specifically day traders and scalpers, how to use that previous day's price action to set up the start of the next day, understand the operational landscape, then using a simple tool for signals and then another tool for confirmations and understanding if we can trade or not trade, follow some basic rules. By the way, there's 2 winners, 1 small loser, so take a look. So when we're scalping or day trading, we need to understand what's happened on this previous day here. And this is gold, spot gold, it could be gold futures. But I've got a 3-minute time frame here on the TradingView platform. I've got the Bias Depth Heatmap on the bottom here, which is one of our indicators for confirmation. And then I've got a signal tool, which is the VWAP Predator here. So what I'm interested in for the next day is what's happened, where my major pivots are. So if I go to this top support and resistance zone here, I've had a major pivot here, one here that's rejected and gone back up again, and another one here recently. So that's 3 touches. That's a really good support and resistance zone that I just need to transfer over a few hours into the next day to see if it continues to hold. We've got some more. I'm just going to take that one off for now. Again, we've got a major pivot here on the left where the cursor is. We come down to test here, here, and then we've got some really big clustering just before the close there. So another strong one we want to take into the next day. And then we've got a recent one here with this massive pivot rejection here around the VWAP, this blue dotted line here that came back up again and then tested here multiple times. So again, we want to take that through. And then a lower one, big pivot here where we had the reverse on gold, and then we can see some right at the beginning of that day where we had this double top and then one in here as well. So we've been sensible. We found some sort of major pivots. We've talked about where we're going to extend them to just a few hours into the day, because we've got to look for trades obviously, but we need to find reasons not to trade but also reasons to trade. We're going to be using the VWAP Predator for signals. We're going to be using the Bias Depth Heatmap for those confirmations or denials, and we're going to be then using these as our framework, our operational landscape to start trading gold for the next day. So let's start to play this forward, and I'm going to pause it and talk about certain points, whether we look at signals, or the reasons not to take them, or the reasons to take them. So let's just play this forward. Okay, so what I want to do is the one that I took away, I want to just see here, we're not going to take trades first off when we get the reopen of the market here, but I'm really interested here. The one I took off, I'm zooming in now because we've got 1, 2, 3. We've got about 4 or 5 touches at this point where we need to consider this as a short-term resistance. Okay, so we're going to put that in there, put it to the same colors as the others. Okay, so now we've gone really micro here. We've got a lot of noise in this part here. When we first start the reopen of gold, the price action isn't massive. We can get some breakouts, but usually we've got a lot of fresh air to play into. Here we can see this is going to go sideways for a while until we get a break. So let's go through here. Again, we get a buy signal at this point here. All 6 time frames down on the Bias Depth Heatmap, if I just extend it a little bit here, are green. So that's given us a confirmation. We don't have a great deal of fresh air to trade into. We can see this has just been recently tested from just before the close as well. So we stay away. Okay, this is the point of these, getting ready and getting prepared in that operational landscape. See how sideways we go here. Until we do finally get a breakout to the downside here, we get a sell signal. So we're starting to get a lot more sort of volume coming in here and price action. Asian sessions just starting, so we're starting to get a bit more action. We got come down at this point, but there's still no trade there because this signal candle bottoms out just here, and we've got some support here. So we don't take the trade. We have to be patient and wait. So now we come back through all of these zones, okay? So this one here did get a little bit of clustering, the same here. No signals right now. We're being patient. Okay, so what's happened right now is we've found big resistance at this previous zone. Remember, we only took it a few hours into there. So for me now, this becomes very relevant, and we take that all the way to the US Open, something like that, okay? So now this becomes very relevant because we've had a lot of attempts to get through there and it has failed. So this becomes one of those very important zones to continue for this day. We do see a buy signal at this point here, but look down at the Bias Depth Heatmap. If I put a vertical line down from that signal, we can see there the Bias Depth Heatmap is green, yellow and red. So there's no confirmation for that trade and there's no fresh air to trade into. So let's move this forward. We're starting to come down. Now we get a sell signal at this point here. So I did put some lines up here to help me to get ready. So our entry here sensibly would be below this previous zone, just below that signal candle. And our stop needs to be quite aggressive, just above that signal candle, which is just above the VWAP here, okay? We're always going to be aggressive with this type of time frame because it's the 3 minute. So we're going to go above the signal candle here for the entry and here. So we see this particular support zone. It does get tested with this head and shoulders a little bit here. So, let's just bring that out just to see and measure that risk to rewards. The tool we're going to use for that is down here, fib-based fib extensions here. So there's a couple of clips on here. So we click first on the stop, we click on the entry, and then that's just moving along. So we can see here, risk to reward is 1 whole 1 to 1.6, which is my minimum really. So this has got enough fresh air to trade into. Obviously it doesn't move that fast. Each candle is 3 minutes. I've just speeded this up by 5. So I'm just going to take that off. So this is a good trade. When we get that candle close, we're going to make sure that we enter just below this support and resistance zone there for our entry. And then we can take that trade. So let's move this trade forward. Okay, so now we've tested this particular support and resistance zones and we're coming back down and through. One of the things we could use is the VWAP Predator, the blue dots here, to adjust that stop, reducing the risk all the time. Let's play this forward a little bit more. So now is the important part for me. We have come through this support and broken it. We've pulled back up. Let's zoom in a little bit here. And we didn't break this fib extension. Okay, this is a fib extension from the VWAP. So now we become really aggressive and use the VWAP extension, this red line here, as our trailing stop position. It's above this pivot and this is where we're good to go. We're also looking at this ribbon here still being red. Let's play this forward. Remember, we've still got this zone here, so let's just pull that forward to see if that actually is respected. Again, whether we continue that for the rest of the day or not. Let's play that forward a little bit more. So now we can see we've got another pivot formed here, and we can adjust this trailing stop a little bit more to this point following this VWAP extension line. We are testing this support now. We're getting very close, and I just need to probably take it back a little bit, but you see the ribbon turned green at this point. You would flatten the trade at that point there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a box from the entry here and to the close, which was on this candle here. Okay, so I'm going to turn that in green. That's a winning trade. Okay, so that's the first trade. Let's move these out of the way, ready for the next trade, potentially. So we can actually see now, this is actually a good support zone. We've got a big resistance zone up there. Has this been tested again? Absolutely, just this pivot here. So we can extend that one out. So now I'm continuing some of these for the rest of the day. This one has been broken through. It's not been tested again so far, so I'm not really interested in that one. So let's play this forward a little bit more. Okay, so now we have a buy signal at this point. So again, we look at this entry. Let's look at the stop again, either very aggressive just underneath the signal candle or very conservative hiding under this support zone. Okay, for me, I'm always aggressive with this type of time frame. Let's measure that again. So we're going to go from stop to entry, bring that through, and we'll 1 to 3 to that's next support and resistance zone. If we did go below here for our stop, our risk reward would still be around about 1 to 1.6. So again, still enough fresh air with a very conservative stop. Let's take that away, put it back to where it should be, and let's play this forward. So again, if I just put a vertical line, just to remind you, signal, confirmation, all 6 time frames on the Bias Depth Heatmap are green. So we are good to go with this signal. This signal has come through the VWAP. It's opened below, closed above, and it's got increased volume. That's why we've got that buy signal there. So let's take away that vertical line. Let's play this forward a little bit more, talk about sort of managing this trade now. So one thing for me is I like to go risk-free, and once we start to get the VWAP moving through the entry, I can start to be more relaxed and go risk-free. So at this point here, we start to see that happen, and we can go. Remember, we're testing this resistance that we've had before as well. So this is where a little bit of knowledge on whether trade gold a lot. If this continues to test here, you can be more aggressive by putting the trailing stop at this point here. That is an alternative solution for you to lock in more profit at that point. Be more aggressive. So the thing for me is I like to give these a little bit of room to maneuver. So I can still be risk-free with this VWAP Predator at this point here, and we're actually locking in a little bit of profit. I'm giving it a chance to push through this previous resistance zone. I've not got anything at risk right now. I've got a winning trade already in the bank. I'm giving it some room. So let's play this forward a little bit more. Okay, so now we've cleared this resistance. It's come back down to test it as support. Very, very strong. Remember, we identified this from yesterday's price action, and we've just carried it through. It's been being tested. So now we can adjust the stop to this VWAP extension. 2 reasons. It's broken the next VWAP extension, okay? And also we're through this resistance zone. So now we're hiding behind here. And this is our original entry. So let's play this forward a little bit more. Okay, so now we can adjust even more, a little bit just underneath here. So at this point, again, those decisions by traders are made. Do we go more aggressive? We're into this, all-time highs. We look left, look at this previous one here. Okay, this could be an issue. This was from yesterday. Okay, at the moment for me it's only one test, so it's not very strong, but there are alternatives that we can do here. Once we start to get into this fresh air, we can start to be very aggressive with this trailing stop on this next VWAP fib extension at this point here, because at any time it could come back, because these are the dizzy heights that we're getting there on gold. So let's just play this forward. Eventually it then takes it out. So let's put another green box on there for the next trade. Let's change that color. So 2 trades, 2 winners by following some very, very simple rules. We're getting signal, we're getting from the VWAP Predator, we're getting confirmation from the Bias Depth Heatmap, and we're ensuring we've got fresh air to trade into. So that's 2 trades. Okay, we're at 4:01 EST right now. Again, gold is traded very, very well during that early European morning. So let's play this forward a little bit more. no trade signal coming through here. Notice? So we don't trade. We need signal confirmation, fresh air. Right now, we have tested this zone again. So we're going to extend that out even more, okay? Very, very important that we keep doing that to understanding the boundaries, the operational landscape of our trading opportunities. Now, there is a potential trading opportunity here with this buy signal. But again, do we get confirmation? No. Only 4 out of 6 are green. There's no confirmation, so there's no trade. That is the rule. Let's play this forward a little bit more. We get a buy signal at this point. Okay, 8:31. We're not long after the gold pit open for the US. We get a buy signal. We've got all 6 time frames green down here. Just this one instance for that candle, but it is working. So we'd have a stop market order above here. Our stop sensibly would be below all of these pivots, okay? And then obviously we've got this big zone up here. So we've got a lot of fresh air. I don't need to measure it again. There's a lot of fresh air there. So let's play this forward. Okay, so we're in this trade. We've had 2 winners so far. The risk is low and it's taken us out, okay? There is no strategy that's 100% win rate. So let's put this in as a red. It's a loser, okay? We followed the rules. It didn't work out. There is our loser. Let's put that in red. Okay, so let's just move these out of the way. So we can see this risk profile here. If I just move that there, is a lot smaller than any of those winners. So it was worth the risk. It didn't work out. We had a loser. Let's play this forward again. We get a sell signal at this point here. We only, if we zoom in a little bit, we're 6 out of 6 for this sell. But after the sell signal here, okay, let's talk through this. That's our entry. That's our stop just above that resistance zone, okay? We're 6 out of 6. Have we got a great deal of fresh air? The risk reward down to this next zone isn't a lot. So we've got signal, we've got confirmation, we've got no fresh air. We're not going to take this trade. Let's play it forward some more. We get a sell signal coming through here, okay? This would be our entry. This would be our stop, just above that signal candle there. We do have a pivot just below here, okay? From this previous move all the way back up, okay? And if we look left with those ones from yesterday. So again, that is a reason not to take the trade. Even though we've got signal and confirmation, we've got no fresh air. Let's play this forward. We get another sell signal now on this particular candle, okay? Again, we're not going to take this one, but I do like this particular one here. Again, we're going to be very aggressive with this trailing stop above this support zone that it's broken. Let's look left. Have we got anything that could be trouble? We do have a pivot at this point here. Let's draw that in. You know, this pivot here could be an issue for this particular trade. Risk reward isn't very good at that point, but it was from yesterday. Is it really going to be relevant today? Again, the risk profile here, when we look at this, very, very low risk. So that's a decision that you would make. So we've got this one small loser, we've got big winner, big winner. Okay, we've still got positive realized profit for for the day. When we look at this, this is the decision traders are going to be making on the move, really. Let's just look at this. I mean, this is very simple sort of representation visually. What you would do is you would look at this, you would take that previous loser, whoops, let's put it down there, let's move it to there. Let's add that on top of this loser. We're still net positive just for this one trade. That's the decision that you must make as a trader. Is that the right sort of risk profile? Do I want to hang on to that, or do I want to continue to take that risk because I'm still going to have realized profit for the day with that particular trade? Let's play that forward. It never actually enters the trade, okay? Because remember, we're using stock market orders. The next candle turns around and reverses. It doesn't actually take us into the trade. Do not use market orders, guys. You must use stock market orders. If that's the signal candle, your start line has to be below the low of that signal candle. That's the signal candle. You got the confirmation. It now needs to go through the start line. So let's play this foot. So that wasn't a trade. We could have put that stock market order on, but it didn't. It took us through that stop position, so we just cancelled the order straight away. Let's play this forward. So now we're going sideways into the US afternoon. We get another sell signal at this point here. We've got confirmation. We've got no fresh air to this support and resistance zone. Okay, you can see we're starting to build a bit of a sideways action right here, right now, and let's just continue to go. We're going sideways. We're going nowhere. Again, we get a sell signal at this point. We've got confirmation. We've got no fresh air. We don't even bother putting the order on. Let's move forward again. Again, another sell signal. Another sell signal there. Brilliant. But we've got nothing to trade. We've got big support to trade into. We're not going to take them. We get a buy signal here. We're actually quite close to the US close. This is the signal we would not take. We're getting too close. And you can see here, this is the close and then the reopen at that point. So on this particular day, 2 good winners on 1 little loser. That's trading, okay? If you can't expect 100% win rate, you've got to follow the same rules. But let's have a look at some of these pivots and think about moving them over to the next day, because they were quite relevant. This one, again, reasonably relevant, and this one here, okay? And it's just rinse and repeat. Do the same thing, okay? At this moment in time, let's just play it forward a little bit and see what happens. Again, we're getting sell signals here, but we're getting no sort of bias depth heat map confirmation. Another sell signal here. We've got bias depth heat map confirmation down below on the red, but we've got support there. We're not going to take it. Going sideways, and then we get a buy signal at this point. We've got bias depth confirmation. Let's look at this on a bigger view. Remember, the one we've taken through there, we've got very, very good risk to reward. That actual signal here, we'll look at this pivot just before the close, okay? Let's put that on our chart there just to show you where our entry would be. So let's go back and find those entry lines somewhere. There they are. And stop lines. Okay, so we're going to make sure we're above that pivot here when we get that signal candle. Stop loss is, you could have it really aggressive underneath here. So this is a really sort of the risk to reward here. If we go from stop to entry is 1 to 3 into that zone. So really great risk to reward, very small risk to start the day. Very, very good trade. We've got the signal, we've got the confirmation. We just got that stock market or a little bit further than we'd normally do, but it's above that previous pivot from yesterday. Sensible. Let's play this forward. Okay, right now it did almost touch that resistance zone. Okay, so now we're starting to get pivots, and it comes back down at this point here. So at this point, once I'd found some support here, remember I need to make it risk-free as soon as possible. So the valiant thing to do there would be to make it risk-free at this point. We've had a massive rejection of those highs. It's gone sideways, it could back down, and that would be a break-even trade. But hopefully this video you can see going through the same process each day, looking at those previous support and resistance zones, carrying them through and following some very, very simple rules. The VWAP Predator is fantastic for trading any instrument that has volume data, because it relies on the volume and the momentum building to get those trades. The Bias Depth Heatmap is that confirmation or denial tool that every trader must need, no matter what signal provider you're using. And then obviously those support and resistance zones, that work you must do from the previous day to set out that operational landscape when you're trading off a small time frame like this on the 3 minute is invaluable, very important, so you can get those high win rates. Okay, so check out the links below for the VWAP Predator and for the Bias Depth Heatmap.